Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my opinion. And the first test out of four of the Border Gavaskar series is starting tomorrow, and this test match is being played in Nagpur. And already a rhetoric which I'm not surprised has arisen considering where this series is being played, but still is something that I don't agree with at all in terms of what people who are kind of going along with that rhetoric are trying to really convey, and that is that once again the talk on the surfaces. I just think that as a touring nation, your part of the challenge that you face is adapting to the conditions in that particular country. When you tour in the subcontinent, when you tour India, for example, you will come across ranked tellers, and that is part of the challenge to adapt. When India tour overseas in test matches, for example, England, New Zealand, South Africa, it's not easy for them to adapt as well, but that is part of the challenge. They acknowledge that, they accept it, and that's why they go out there and they give it their all. And you've seen that. Well, in England, yes, a 2-2 series draw, but they already should have won the series even before that fifth game. It should have been 3-1 going to that fifth game because the fifth day of the first test was rained off. And in Australia, winning that series, conquering the Gabba fortress of the Australians, and in South Africa, a closely contested series, despite the fact that you could say what the last two games were 7-wicket wins for South Africa. I thought India should have won that second Test match. That was theirs that they could have really looked to win out of the last two games. And a 2-1 scoreline in India's favour would have still been a win, even if they had lost the last Test match. So I think that, India in the last few years have been really getting some good results overseas and a very good level of competition when India play overseas. So they don't complain, and I don't see why anyone else needs to when they tour India. And I saw an article on the Fox Cricket Twitter handle, or from their handle, where it was a case where people are once again accusing India of doctoring pitches even before a ball has been bowled in the series, and that is something that I just think it's not a good thing to do. I just think that the fact is that, like I've just said, your duty, part of the challenge as a touring side, is to adapt to the conditions on offer when in the country that you are touring. And when, in my view, certainly this is what it comes off as, when you try and police the challenge that you'll be facing as a touring side, that does not give you a very good look. So I'm very disappointed. I'm not surprised this rhetoric has been arising once again, and so much so even before the series has been played. I mean, I think India will win this series 4-0. I'm going to say this here and now. But if India will win, and when they win, it won't be because of the services. It will be because they have adapted to the conditions better. I mean, even when in that Ahmedabad Test match where the game ended in 2 days, India have got the spinners that they have. India have got the seamers that they have that can bowl in India and overseas as well. And I think that the depth of the player pool, the players that they've got, the resources that they've got to fill roles and be competitive at home and overseas. I just think that for other countries, for example, they wouldn't have the option of playing 3 quality spinners on a turning track, which would be a dream option for them, but they don't have that. So when it's the case where you just don't have the resources as a touring side to compete, and therefore you're trying to police the challenge, that's not a good look. And I just don't understand why they're doing that at all. And on the squads of these two sides, India's squad for the first and second test have been released. And as far as the 11s are concerned, this will be my 11. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill opening their batting, Chiteshwar Pujara at number 3. And I think Virat Kohli's biggest challenge this series will be against Nathan Lyon. He's dismissed him 7 times, but because the fundamentals were stronger before, Virat Kohli, I think, averages 58 against him, striking at 52. So he's got a very good record against him, even though he's been dismissed 7 times by him. And so before, you thought there was a greater likelihood that he could still hold his own against Nathan Lyon, whereas now when the fundamentals aren't so strong, you think, how will they go when the services will be turning tracks and Nathan Lyon will enjoy bowling on them as well? So that will be a challenge that he will have to face, but they will start him at number 4. I've got KL Rahul at number 5. And Shreyas Iyer is unfortunately unavailable for this test. Rishabh Pant is also unavailable for this series, and a while after that as well. I mean, on Rishabh Pant, the first thing is that he's alive and well, and he will take a bit of time to return to playing kind of full-fledged cricket. And look, he's been India's best test match batsman in the last while, hands down. So, I mean, those two players, whether you're missing them for a test match and missing them for a series, will be for a series of this magnitude, it is a loss. And on Shreyas Iyer, I think especially with his counter-attacking play against spin, even when he is playing on ranked turners, for example, the game against Sri Lanka in the pink ball test, where it was a turner, and yet he played as well as he did, counter-attacking, especially I think the second innings, and scoring at a very good rate. I think that he, especially in terms of attacking the spinners, he is probably the best player of spin in the world right now. And I think overall he probably is the best player of spin in the world right now. And someone like that to not be playing even one test of a 4-match series where the tracks will be turning will be something that Australia wouldn't really mind too much of. But I think with the squad that India have got, they have more than enough resources. KL Rahul number 5. The reason why I'm saying is because when he's opened the batting, you've kind of seen he's either played some magnificent innings, and I think he's prone to receiving some very good deliveries up front when he's opening the batting, especially overseas, which most batsmen would get out to. And I don't fault him for getting out to those deliveries, but I just think overall the consistency factor, the output hasn't been there on a consistent basis. It's either been brilliant innings a few times and then not too much afterwards. I think him batting at number 5 will certainly allow him, not facing the new ball. Not that it will be as much of a challenge in these conditions, of course, but he can still open the batting wherever he plays, in my view. But I just think him batting number 5 in the test side, kind of a rejig for him, will do good. And he has the opportunity since Shreyas Iyer is not playing the first test. KS Bharat has been around for a while, has done well, so I'm happy that he is getting the opportunity, and he'll be batting at 6. And returning Ravindra Jadeja, who got, I think, some 6 or 7 wickets against Tamil Nadu in a first-class game recently on his return. So he'll be in the side at number 7. Akshar Patel at number 8. Ravichandran Ashwin at number 9. Those are your 3 fantastic spinners. And then you've got Mohammad Shami number 10, Mohammad Siraj 11. And you've got Umesh Yadav as a reserve bowler whose Indian record is fantastic, especially when playing in India. So I think that this is a fantastic side, and Australia will have to be at their very best to play against the side. And I've said what I need to say already. I think it will be a 4-0 win for India. They've got Ishan Kishan, who I think they've tried to put him there just because Rishabh Pant is a left-handed keeper batsman who likes to take the bowling on with clarity in tests. Look, Ishan Kishan averages about 38 in first-class cricket. Yes, they kind of blooded Rishabh Pant in early, and he's been very, very good in Test match cricket, but I don't think you can expect the same thing from Ishan Kishan. And I feel like they tried to fill a like-for-like role, but I would have liked to see more domestic performers being rewarded. Same thing with Suryakumar Yadav being introduced in the side. He averages 44, so he can still, it's not that bad. It's not a bad record, but I think when you've got players in domestic cricket averaging 50, and you've got players like Sarfraz Khan scoring bucket loads of runs, I just think that he deserves an opportunity for the series, but it is what it is. And I do think India have got a very, very strong squad, and they will win 4-0 in this series. And for Australia, I think that they've had some success when they have played in Australia in the last while, and a lot of the squad that they've been playing with in the recent series at home, they've kind of brought them all over here. It will be a different challenge, of course, but they've got players like Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne, who I think even in the subcontinent, Steve Smith in the subcontinent, we've seen how he does wherever he goes. And Labuschagne, when he was playing in Sri Lanka, he scored a century as well. So I think that you can rely on those two. They're fabulous players. And I think that around them will be what the problem is. David Warner's subcontinental record hasn't been great. And already now, when even in Australia, apart from that one double century, hasn't really done too much in the last while. And I think that even he said himself, his Test career is probably closer to its end. And let's see what he does here. But I do think this lineup will revolve around Smith and Martin Slavishane. Usman Khawaja, after a visa delay, has he's arrived in India, and he's been in some very, very good form in the last while when playing in Australia. But playing in India is a different challenge. Let's see how he does. A left-hander once again, and you know who like points to left-handers in this Indian side, as from a spinner's point of view. So that's on that. And then so that's the top four. And you've got Travis Head at number 5, who's been playing very well in Australia. Like I said, if this series was in Australia, then Australia would be thinking, right, we've got quite a good chance here. But if knowing that India will of course contest as well, but in this case, even the players that are playing more, you're kind of thinking, how will they do in India? And once again, there's a left-handed factor as well. So it's the thing is, you look at at least 4 of those 5 players, like I said, and they've been in very good form. It's just the fact that there is, of course, the different conditions, of course. And you got, I think Alex Carey should be here as well. It doesn't really say that he is in this. Here, he is in this one. Alex Carey, I'm sure, will bat at maybe at number 7. Or him at number 6, Cam Green at number 7. But if he doesn't bowl, and I don't think he will play the first test against India, so I don't know who they are going to play number 7. Then maybe someone like an Ashton Agar or something. But as you can already see, they are running out of options. If you've got bowlers like Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, Cam Green as an all-rounder who gives you a few overs outside the 4 main bowlers, if they're not playing, then you haven't got the batting depth that you'd want. You got Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon they can bat a bit, but you'd think that you could pay Pat Cummins at number 7, but after that you don't really have too much batting. And I think it's like I've just said, the form of these players isn't actually the issue, considering how well they have been going when they've been playing in Australia. The only thing is, how will they go when they face this kind of a challenge? And it's not that Australia, we've seen that when they have played at home, where they have been playing, they've been winning. So they have a right to feel confident because they've got, a very good last few results when they've played Test cricket. But playing in India is a different challenge. I think that they have got some star names, the Smiths, Labuschanes, Pat Cummins. I think he won't be a standout this series, I think, but he still will be someone who you can rely on to at least hold an end up. And you've got Nathan Lyon as well. So you've got 4 players who really can be of use. But apart from that, you've got players who you don't know how they will go in this part of the world. That is my thing with Australia. And really, that is pretty much the only problem, because if they have if the conditions are more in their comfort zone, you would think, then this would be a much more optimized side. And they've toured Bangladesh in 2017. They lost to India in 2017 after winning that first test match. They toured Bangladesh in 2017, lost the first test, won the second. Recently toured Sri Lanka, won the first test, lost the second. They've only been 2 match series in the last 2 series, but they haven't. Once again, you've seen that they haven't been able to beat those sides in at least one game out of the 2. So when you're struggling against those sides, and I'm not saying playing in Bangladesh is the easiest thing, but in terms of the conditions on offer, but when you're struggling against those sides, which India have the nous to get over, then when you're playing against India on a ranked turn-up, I just think that it'll be a very, very difficult challenge. So, let's see what Australia do. But I think, I'm very, very surprised that some people, look, of course, they are from Australia, so they will think, they'll say, right, they'll win 2-1. But I don't know where the 2 wins or even 1 win's going to come from, or even where a draw is going to come from, really. I don't want to write them off too much. I do understand that they have every right to feel confident going into a series. I mean, you wouldn't want to go into such a challenge not feeling confident. But let's see how they do. I still do think that India are the favourites for the series. And the World Test Championship final, despite the fact what I think about it, I don't think it's a very equal competition at all in terms of who plays who. But it is what it is. So that's on that. And let's see what happens from tomorrow onwards. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share the video with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?